We all look for signs in a new relationship, right? But what if the biggest warning signs don't look like warnings at all? What if they actually look like love? Today, we're going to dive into the really deceptive world of relationship red flags, so we can all learn how to spot the difference. And that's the real kicker, isn't it? Why are these things so hard to see? Well, the reason is actually pretty simple, but it's also kind of sinister. The most dangerous behaviors often feel intensely romantic, especially at first. They're masters at disguising manipulation as passion, which makes it incredibly difficult to tell what's real. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, the seductive start. This is the stage where the red flags are the hardest to spot because, let's be honest, they feel amazing.
Okay, first up is a term you've probably heard thrown around, love bombing. And look, this isn't just about someone being super romantic. We're talking about a full-on flood of attention, like telling you they love you after a week, constant expensive gifts, planning your entire future together before you've even really talked about your pasts. It is an overwhelming display, and it's designed to hook you fast. And this is where it gets really interesting, when you break down the why behind it. On the surface, what you see, it feels like a fairy tale, right? They're just so passionate. But the reality is that love bombing isn't really about you. It's a strategy. It's about creating a powerful sense of dependency so that when their behavior inevitably changes later on, you're already in too deep.
So what's the key takeaway here? It's all about pacing. Genuine connection, it takes time to develop. It grows. It doesn't just explode into existence overnight. So if it feels like you're living in a movie montage just a few weeks after meeting someone, it's probably a good time to hit the brakes and ask yourself, do they even know me well enough to feel this strongly?
Okay, so once that intense start has you hooked, things can start to shift into something, well, a lot more sinister. We're talking about tactics of control. These are behaviors designed to methodically shrink your world until they're the only thing left in it.
And this usually starts so subtly. It sounds like, oh, your friends don't really get you like I do. Or, why do we have to go out? Let's just stay in together, just us. The whole point is to slowly but surely cut the lifelines to your support system. The very people who are most likely to notice that something is really wrong.
I love this quote because it just nails the difference, doesn't it? A healthy partner, they want to be part of your world. They want to meet your friends, get to know your family. A controlling one, they see your world as competition.
So beyond just isolating you, the control can get a lot more obvious. Things like checking your phone, telling you what you should or shouldn't wear, even trying to manage your money. And it's all dressed up as caring. I'm just worried about you, they'll say. But there is a massive difference between supporting someone and managing them.
So, how does this actually happen? How do they break down your boundaries? Well, it's not usually one big thing. It's a pattern, an escalation. First, you set a boundary. They don't just accept it, they kind of test it. Then they argue with you about it. And finally, they just flat out ignore it. See, this isn't a misunderstanding. It's a deliberate process to completely dismantle your personal limits.
All right, this next section gets into some really serious stuff. We're talking about straight-up psychological warfare. These are the weapons of manipulation that can truly make you feel like you're losing your mind. And the big one, the one most people have heard of, is gaslighting. This is when someone methodically tears down your sense of reality. They'll deny things they definitely said, they'll twist your words, and they'll rewrite history to make you think you're the one who's confused, or too sensitive, or just plain crazy.
And you've got to listen for these phrases. These are the absolute classics, the calling cards of a gaslighter. The goal is to create so much self-doubt that you stop trusting your own judgment and start relying completely on theirs. It's terrifyingly effective. So how do you fight back against this? What can you actually do? Well, there are two really powerful tools. First, write stuff down. Keep a journal. It creates an objective record that they just can't argue with. And second, and this is huge, you have to learn to trust your gut. If something feels off, it almost certainly is, no matter how hard they try to convince you otherwise.
Next up, we have explosive anger. And this is not about just getting upset during an argument. We're talking about a reaction that is just completely out of proportion to the situation, like screaming over a tiny mistake, punching a wall, throwing things. It's all designed to intimidate you.
But here's the most important part, the real tell. Notice how they never seem to have these outbursts at work, in front of their boss, or in public. They can control it. They are choosing not to with you. This isn't a loss of control, it's a tactic of control. and it is a huge warning sign.
You know, this kind of explosive anger often fits into a bigger, more confusing pattern: inconsistency. One day they're the most loving, attentive person in the world, and the next, they're cold, distant, and angry. This emotional whiplash forces you to live your life walking on eggshells, and that creates a relationship built on anxiety, not security and love.
And really, what's underneath almost all of these behaviors? It's a profound lack of empathy. This is when your feelings just don't seem to register with them at all. You could be crying and somehow they'll make it about them. You could be celebrating a huge success and they'll find a way to bring you down. Without empathy, there's no real partnership.
So, okay, we've gone through all these signs to look for in someone else. But now we get to the most crucial part of this whole conversation: trusting yourself. Because recognizing these flags means nothing if you don't listen to that part of you that's raising them in the first place.
So what's the biggest red flag of all? The ultimate one? It's not something they do, it's something you do. It's ignoring your intuition. Ignoring that little voice inside, that gut feeling, that sense of unease that tells you something is deeply wrong, even when you can't logically explain it.
This quote, wow, it just hits so hard because it gets right to the truth of it. Seeing red flags isn't an invitation to become a hero and fix someone. They are warning signs telling you to protect yourself. You simply cannot love someone into changing who they are. And that really just leaves us with one final very important question to ask yourself. Your intuition, your gut, your internal sense of safety, that's your red flag radar. It is always on. The only question is,